Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video. Guys, we've got the new big bad. He's not an anus, he's Amius. And he is dropping next week. So I've got first visuals. I've also got like a breakdown of his skills, which we're going to go through in this video. And I guess try and get some prep done before he drops. Because if you beat this guy up, pretty certain there's going to be your own mythical champion coming out the other end. That's where this kind of like ability to farm one is going to come from, I'm pretty sure. So what do they say here before we go into it? Let me just play the little clip. Looking kind of cool, actually. He's done a lot like a blood red feel to him. Like a mythical champion, he also changes form. So it's the first boss where you kind of get this whole form change thing going on. Is it? I think it is anyway. But yeah, what we're saying, it looks a bit like something out of D&D. Honestly, but there you go. So you've probably seen this fella in the short video we released the other day. A brand new badass boss you'll have to deal with when raiding the Cursed City. Behold, because here comes Amius, the Lunar Archon. The first boss to have two forms, just like mythical champions, each form with its own strategy. We can go through that in a second. So prepare yourself before messing with this baddie. It says here, Amius' transformation is tied to a unique buff that he places on himself. In the base form, he doesn't let you debuff him and buffs himself instead, heals a lot. So more like a support. And then in the other form, becomes a killing machine, messing with your buffs, replacing them with debuffs and stuff. So let's take a look at the kit and see what the hell is going on. I guess before I do that very quickly, I'll show you this as well. This image has just popped up on socials. I talked about the new fusion, which is, I guess, this guy back right coming in. But it is an old school fusion, which means there are going to be 4 epics in the mix as well. I think, anyway. Which I'm guessing are some of these other dudes with the kind of Christmas themes as well. So, pretty sure these are all new champions and not just like reskins. So it looks like we've got a big horned tree dude. I don't know if that's what we got or what. But anyway, some new characters coming into the mix. So let's check out this kit then for Amius, the Archon, Lunar Archon. There's a ton going on, is what I would say. That's like my first view of this. A lot is going on with his kits. Okay then, so we've got here Waxing Potence. This is his main, on his base form, his first skill. Attacks all enemies, so another AoE everything boss. Increases the damage inflicted by this skill by 10% for each buff that he's got. Also heals him by 100% of the damage that he deals, including damage dealt to shields. That's actually kind of brutal, the shield part. So he's got a massive heal. Unless he's immune to it. Let's just have a quick check in his immunities. He is not. Feels like a heal reduction champ is going to be pretty damn crucial. Just from that. Just from his base skill. Like if he's healing from hitting all of your team, you're probably going to need to stop him doing that. Lunar Storm attacks all enemies before attacking, increases the duration of all buffs, and decreases the duration of all debuffs on Amius by a turn. Someone did say he looks kind of like a grown-up version of Anchorite. Anchorite's actually got basically that same skill. It's actually got a similar skill to this in general. Heals Amius by 20% of his max HP. The heal increases by 5% for each buff. Amius also fills Amius' turn meter for each debuff that has its duration decreased. So if you put a load of debuffs on him and he's doing this, he's grabbing a ton of turn meter, and he's going to be doing a load of heals if he's got buffs as well, if you don't have heal reduction on him. Rampant Chaos then removes any block buffs from Amius and replaces it with block debuffs. So you absolutely do not want block buffs on him. Because if you then put block debuffs on him, you can't get your heal reduction on, and he's probably going to be fairly unplayable. So that's kind of nasty. Rampant Chaos lasts for 3 turns. Also removes any debuffs negatively affecting stats. So I guess that's like decreased attack, decreased defense. Places them with their mirrored equivalent. So if you put put decreased defense on him, it's going to switch it to increased defense, etc. Debuffs such as heal reduction and weaken will be replaced with continuous heal and strengthen. Wow, okay, so actually even the heal reduction is going to get wiped and you're going to have to reapply it. Honestly, if he clears heal reduction off, gets a continuous heal, but then you put heal reduction back on him, the continuous heal won't do anything anyway. So I still feel like heal reduction is like one of the most important skills that I'm reading for this first form. Then places a stun on all enemies except mythicals for 1 turn. That's actually a bit... Honestly, that's a bit crappy in my opinion. That's a bit crappy. I guess you've got to have a reason to want mythicals, right? And at the moment, no one's really got that big reason. So I don't love it. I don't love it myself. But there you go. And forces all mythical champions to change form. So, I mean, it's going to mean that some of them... But mythicals obviously do well here. Mythicals are going to do well in this content. I guess they've got to have content that they're needed for. Otherwise, why are people going to push for them? Finally fills Amius' turn meter by 10% for each debuff converted into a buff. So tons going on. Loads to read here. Robed in Moonlight is a passive on this form. Whenever an enemy is healed, so heals Amius. Heals Amius for 100% of the damage inflicted against shields. Yeah, we saw that earlier. Whenever an enemy decreases a skill's cooldown with an artifact, accessory, mastery, or skill, also decreases the cooldown of Amius' Archon's Ascendance. Which is this one here. So they're trying then to counter some of these kind of like Yumikos, Kaimars, like anyone who tries to make things quick and reset abilities. This is the attempt to counter that. Quite an interesting way of doing it, honestly, because it's wrecking you at the same time as you're trying to wreck him. Another passive, Archon's Ascendance. At the start of Amius' turn, places Eclipse buff on him for 3 turns. That's new. Not heard that before. Eclipse. This buff cannot be removed, transferred, spread, etc. This skill will be on a 4-turn cooldown. This is his passive at the start of a battle and where Amius transforms into his base. That's like the metamorph thing. So passive here revives Amius with 30% HP and 50% turn meter when killed whilst he's got Eclipse on. This effect only activates if Amius is killed in his alternate form. Is that what Eclipse does? I don't feel like that's what Eclipse does. Do we know? Do we get told? Do we get told somewhere else? I feel like... I don't think that's what Eclipse does. So I don't know what Eclipse does yet. Okay. Maybe I'm going to find out as we get further through this. Okay, another passive here. Almighty Strength. Damage from skills that scale based on enemy max HP are now going down to 5%. This is the result of Acrisia coming out. She's doing tons of damage. They bring Newt out. He's absolutely insanely good for bosses. And they have to find a way to not make those guys just totally broken. They have to. But the problem is they're nerfing all of the other ones which aren't broken. Yeah, Septimus is like that. He's literally in the corner crying. He's like, when will I be good again? Septimus can't believe his fortune's gone from like the one-shot king to literally like the guy who does the dishes. So yeah, I don't love it. I don't love that. You know, the fact is you've got overpowered champs, not the skill. Anyway, Almighty Immunity, another passive, so immune to all of the normal kind of stuff. Awakened Weakness decreases the damage inflicted by the boss for each awakening. This is similar to what we see on some of the other bosses as well, the newer bosses. So the more awakening levels you've got in your heroes, the less damage you're going to take and the more damage you're going to do. So when he flips form, this is the same image though, right? It's not seeing a flip. Did we really see a flip of form in here? Did we see it? I mean, he's got a lot of candles. They've got an obsession with candles in this game. What's the change? I feel like he's flipping into himself, is he? Am I going crazy? What's changing on him? I think he's changed into himself there. I don't think he's done anything different. So it might just be that his skills change, or maybe you're like, HH, how are you not seeing it? Anyway, let's have a look then at his big form. So the damage form. Abyssal Construct attacks an enemy 2 times, will ignore 100% defense. Damage increases by 20% for each debuff on the enemy. Decrease aimless, ignore defense effect, each awakening against a target. Okay, so you could reduce that down to 50%. If this attack kills an enemy, instantly activates the A3. And it should kill enemies. Like ignoring 100% defense, that should kill enemies. So that's pretty nasty. Blood Moon Vortex. We'll get to the A3 in a sec. Blood Moon Vortex is an AoE. For attacking, increases the duration of all debuffs and decreases the duration of all buffs on enemies. So again, it's like that anchorite thing. Increases damage inflicted by 5% of the target's max HP for each enemy buff that it's done a decrease of. So you can get an absolute smack of a hit if you've got a load of buffs. Also decreases each enemy's turn meter by 10% for each debuff that's out there. So again, you could get like a turn meter drop of 50% or something. Okay, cool. Cool, crazy, don't know. Okay, so we've got this Bedlam here, which is the thing that activates on the A1, removes any block debuffs from enemies, puts block buffs in its place. 3 turns. 3 turns is long to have this on. Also removes any buffs constantly doing positive stats. So it's a bit similar to what the base form was doing, but to us. Yeah, so instead of, if you've got increased attack, it's going to change it to decrease attack, etc. So pretty nasty, mirroring the buffs into debuffs. Then places a sleep on all enemies except mythicals. This cannot be blocked or resisted and forces a mythical form change. Oh, it's a really crazy, nasty skill, honestly. Very nasty skill. And then we've got Scarlet Eclipse here. Is this... No, this is just saying it's on Eclipse. Doesn't tell me what Eclipse does still. Just wondering if we were told somewhere else. I can't see anything. I can't see anything that was telling me what Eclipse actually does. Okay, let's keep going. So reduce the amount of healing that enemies receive by 50% when Amius is under the Eclipse buff. Ignores shield, block damage, and unkillable when he's got Eclipse on as well. Maybe this is just telling us what it does, honestly. Finally, whenever an enemy's cooldown is decreased with an artifact, instantly activates Abyssal Construct, which is the A1, against a random enemy. So again, if you're like trying to do resets, he's going to come and take someone out with the A1, which might then trigger the A3. I don't know if that's going to happen. I think it does. So you get this whole kind of like chain reaction going on. Almighty Strength, damage from skills that scale based on enemy max HP cannot be more than 5% again. Immune to the same stuff. And then Awakened Weakness here is the same thing again. So, I don't know, guys. What do you think? For the big bad boss, there's a lot going on, honestly. There's a lot of text. There's a lot going on. I tend to prefer playtesting. I tend to prefer getting involved and seeing how mechanics work. But it feels like you've basically got to get heal reduction out to control his first form. You need some sort of passive healing or something like that for yourself. Deal with some of the damage that's coming in. Harima might be pretty damn sweet to get rid of some of this ignoring defense stuff. And then you've just got to control how many kind of like buffs and debuffs you're putting out. Because the more you put out, the more he powers up. You got to be careful about reset champions and enemy max HPers. Although you're getting penalized for them, I'd be surprised if they're still not some of the best champions for the fight. We'll see, I guess. Does he have like immunity and stuff to... I don't think he's got any like reduced damage from poisons and burns and stuff like that. So maybe... Oh, hold on. So I think maybe like... Might be that he's an old school poison type boss that gets ticked down really quick. I guess we will see. But interesting anyway. Interesting. And I can't wait to actually see it in action so we can get a proper play. Anyway, there you go, guys. He's not Anus. He's Amius. I've been Hell Hades. I'll see you later.